Hello, as promised, I'm back, and we're gonna pick up where we left off here. All right. I moved my new Anguirus piece over to the level right next to it, eager to test out my new monster. Before I get into the level description, I'll talk about Anguirus a bit. Using the up and down buttons, you could choose whether Anguirus stood in a bipedal stance or crawled around on all fours. It wasn't a huge difference, but being able to stand and was helpful in boss fights, and crawling sometimes helped dodge obstacles and attacks. He could punch and kick like Godzilla, but no tail whip. Instead, he had something far more interesting: the ability to curl up into a spiked ball, all of death, and roll around. You could you could still take damage, but it was lessened. It was a good way of clearing out stage enemies, but unfortunately, doing this also drained the power bar. But the spiked ball wasn't his only special ability. When you press start, he would he would fire a beam of energy from his mouth. It resembled Titanosaurus's sonar attack, and and if this were her a hack, it may have been inspired by the roar attack from Atari's Godzilla fighting games. Also of note is that when playing as Anguirus, the level meter gets glitched up. Judging by the life and power bar, I'd say he's on level 10. Now on to the level. Don't mind me, just... As you might have guessed from the level icon, these levels are green palette swaps of the ground and background tiles from the Blue Mountains. But what immediately caught my attention was the water, which has a transparency effect. Was that even possible for an NES game? I know the Super Nintendo could do it, but it had never seen a transparency effect in a game on an NES. The the Green Mountains music was played with the same instrument as the Blue Mountains, but the melody was totally different. It was a very simple song with a lot of abrupt pauses, followed by a loud note every few seconds. Anyway, I went through the usual strolling through the level, and again, there were no monsters or anything, but pretty soon I had reached a cliff above the water. There was nowhere to go but into the water, so down I went. The transparency made things a bit harder to see, but it's tolerable. After going underwater, I encountered two new enemies: a giant piranha and some kind of spiky bottom feeder thing. I liked the piranha because I could easily tell what it was. It was it was a sane enemy that would appear in a real game. It it was a sane enemy design that would appear in a real game, and there were very few enemies like this. They didn't take much hits to kill, but they were quite annoying and could considerably trim down your life if you got close enough. They also tend to travel in packs. As for the bottom feeders, they're easy to deal with. They swim along the bottom of the screen towards you and are easily crushed with the roll attack or jumped over. In this screen cap, you can see me about not to run one of them over, and there's a pack of piranha behind it. And of course, I can't show it because I'm recording with my video recorder. That doesn't show my screen. I shouldn't be telling this to you. I've told that to you way too many times. I should probably stop. Alright. After I beat that level, I moved Godzilla onto the blue castle icon. I started the level and I got a title screen with the text Unforgiving Cold. The level itself looked like a castle dungeon made of blue bricks, with rows of identical white statue faces on the walls. These statue faces had a permanent look of horror on their faces. There was also some flickering gray static, which didn't really obscure my vision, but it adds to the very unsettling mood of these levels. The music was a 12-second loop of low-pitched choir vocalizing. It sounded very familiar to me. I wonder why. Whenever I played through one of these levels, I got this sudden horrible feeling of anxiety. I had the feeling that the farther I progressed through the level, the closer I was getting to something unspeakably evil. There weren't any enemies, but these were some of the longest levels in the game. I only played one level, but it took 7 minutes to complete. What? Nah. I didn't want to admit it to myself at the time, but I realized something playing the Blue Castle level. This game has the power to make the player feel certain things. I don't mean in the sense that you get irritated playing a crappy game or get unnerved by something scary in a game. What I mean is that certain events in this game can instantly make you start feeling something. Bit weird. I know that sounds completely insane. I don't blame you for not believing. I wouldn't believe any of this either if I didn't play the game myself. But there's something very, very wrong with this game, and I don't know how to explain it. So then it was time to fight Baragon's replacement. Although Baragon was originally the smallest monster in the game, his replacement was one of the largest. It was so tall, in fact, that the ground was noticeably lowered. And not Baragon's head still barely avoided collision at the bar at the top of the screen. And he was just as frighteningly bizarre as he was huge. 1 second. Oh, that little guy. Oh. Oh, okay. You may be wondering how he attacks without arms. Well, he has the most powerful kick in the game. But his other fighting technique is much stranger. First, he blasts a cloudy breath of pixels down at you, which causes you to freeze. Then he walks back to the right corner of the screen and extends a huge Gatling gun from his What? Oh, I wish you could see that. I wish you could see this. This is too Oh my goodness. Oh. Stick it all like that. Oh my. Oh my. I have to get this up. I have to get this off of my screen before it vomits. Oh my god. Oh, my goodness. That might seem amusing to you, but it certainly wasn't to me when I was playing the game. This attack is almost as annoying as Gigan's Saw, and not Baragon could have been unbeatable if he consistently used it. Thankfully, he only did it twice while fighting him. Once you unfreeze, you can run up and start damaging the gun, which does extra damage to him. I wonder why. This helped me destroy him, and when it was time to play the third level, and then it was time to play the third level type, I decided that I was only going to use Anguirus to fight Manda and Gigan, and then fight Space Godzilla as Godzilla. It was only fitting. Space Godzilla is one of my favorites. It is my second favorite, because my first favorite is Megalon. Yeah. Before getting into the battles, I'll describe the third level type, the Arctic. The Arctic is exactly what you'd guess from the name. An icy tundra with a few watery segments. At night. The music reminded me a bit of Northern Hemispheres from Donkey Kong Country in 8-bit form. A very dangerous sounding song. It made me think about being trapped in a tundra and freezing to death. Speaking of, there were two new enemies in this stage. The first was a creature frozen in a block of ice. They block your way, and you have to use a heat main beam to thaw them out of the ice. They look a bit like a smaller version of Not Gazora, only without the eye. I see. When freed, they do a strange crawling movement and push you backwards. It doesn't cause any damage, but it's annoying. After dealing with the Iceman, I kept walking for a minute or two and came upon a water segment. I jumped in, and this time I managed to get a screen cap showing how the water splashes when you jump in. Don't know how they programmed that, but it's pretty impressive. Another interesting thing is how the screen changes focus when you go underwater. It's pretty nice. Here you can see the other new enemy, a little thing I call Spike Walker. They walk towards you and explode randomly, or instantly if you attack them, sending spikes in every direction. The spikes don't do much damage, but they did get me dangerously close to falling into a pit a few times. Oh, speaking of the pits, down into the water, the game has a platformer element. Bottomless pits. That's it. There weren't any of these in the original game, since it was strictly an action game, but the pits were a neat addition. After getting back on land, I encountered a very unexpected with mini-boss. After getting back on land, I encountered a very unexpected mini-boss. Maguma, the walrus kaiju. I know this game had some obscure monsters to begin with, but wow. Not that I'm complaining. It's a pretty cool cameo for an unpredicted kaiju. His fighting tactics were very simple. He had a freeze beam, and he could charge into you. Not very challenging, but certainly more entertaining than the Matango, a mini-boss in the original game. One really interesting thing about Maguma is that he doesn't die when you defeat him. He turns tail and retreats. This was the first time I had ever seen an enemy. This was the first time I had ever seen an enemy monster change direction, let alone retreat. I tried to chase after him, but he disappeared after I got into the water. Poor Bastard. Tard. Yeah. You get it. 1 second. I'm a little thirsty. I'm gonna go get a glass of water. Well, I'm back. Alright. And that does it for the Arctic. I'll talk about the Manda fight next. I forgot to mention before, but the music that played during the new monster fights is reused from themes actually in the games. So far, the themes have been Titanosaurus, Gizora's music, Biolante Hidora's music, Orga, Baragon slash Mugura's music, Manda, excuse me, Varan's music, Space Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla's music. As for the fight, Manda was a fairly crafty opponent. When it realized one tactic was ineffective, it would immediately change to a different one.